Jon, welcome to Exeter City. You join us with a very impressive CV, we must say. What made you want to be part of the Exeter City journey?
Well, obviously, I did know Matt, but I was recommended Matt through an ex-colleague, Mickey Priest, who's at Brentford, who's close with Matt doing in the pro licence. So Matt kindly invited me down. I visited for a few days, had a look around, very impressed, and that's where it's basically come from. So, and then I've been here for the last 3 weeks.
Taking a look at your credentials, you know, we can see the likes of Phil Foden, Marcus Rashford, Jesse Lingard are all players that you've worked with. You must be really proud to have, you know, contributed in some way to the development of such world-class players.
Yeah, I think the word contributed, you can't take full credit for it. And I like to view it as a bit like a master chef. I put my ingredient in at the right time, and that's what I'll be doing here. I'll obviously be working with the first team, I'll be working with the academy, which is very impressive, continuing the work that Dan has done. So I'll be putting my little bit of flavours into it, but keeping the core identity of Exeter. But it's a collective. There's a lot of good work going down with Aaron, Kevin, Nicky, Josie, Dan. I apologise if I've missed somebody out there. I'm still rattling around with names in my head. And then obviously trying to get the young boys ready to take the place within the training group first, with the first team, and obviously then hopefully getting some minutes within the first team, but making sure that all the players understand what it is to be an Exeter player, what it is to be an Exeter player in their position. So basically players understand the roles and what is required. So it's basically what it says on the tin. That's what I am.
You've been in this business for over 35 years. I mean, you must have picked up so many different coaching styles and player management techniques that you'll be able to bring to this role.
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved in football, but I've been involved in education. I mean, I finished as a player quite young, did a sports science honours degree, then I did a postgrad in education. So while I was working at Man United, I was also head of physical education, senior teacher, assistant head teacher. So a lot of the things that I picked up on in education, understanding my role was to allow all students to fulfil their potential, and I think that's what it is here. There's some players who are going to progress into the first team and beyond, like the Pondis, Jay, who's gone on to Fulham, and there's some aren't going to get into the first team and they're going to fall lower. But it's making sure that they all fulfil the potential, whatever that potential is, and that the time that they have here at Exeter Football Club is a real good experience. Potentially their sons and daughters might come back to Exeter. If they've had a good experience, then they'd encourage them to come back. That's what I've picked up really at the clubs that I've worked at, that make sure that it's a positive experience that they have, so they want to come back and they're lifelong fans of Exeter.
You've worked abroad, you've worked in Jordan, you've worked in Norway with Tromsø and another team whose name I'm not going to try.
Tromsdalen.
That's the one. How have those experiences abroad helped you in your personal journey?
Oof. I mean, it's to embrace different cultures. I tend to go in quite neutral, with no expectations here or expectations there. So I kind of to assess the land and how it lies, and just it'd be very wrong for me to bring in what I did at Man United into what I did in Jordan and in Norway, because culturally it's very, very different. Not just the society culture, but the football culture. So it's kind of taking little bits, again, I go back to the bacon analogy, you take the good bits out and you try and put it into their culture, the football culture. So all experiences are good experiences, they're all learning experience, even if it's a negative. So hopefully, I think especially in Norway, I'm more process orientated now. So getting people on board rather than very an autocratic way. So I've evolved as a person, as a human being. I'm much more reflective than I was 20 years ago. I was probably more impulsive. Get it done, get it done. But now I'm much more processed and inclusive and more about building relationships with the players, I think, and the staff. If you build those relationships, then your messages are more accepted than if you're just forcing it upon them. They're on board with it.
Obviously, you've been settling into the role for the last few weeks, easing yourself in before Dan leaves us. What early observations have you made, not just about the training ground and the club, but the players, but about the club as a whole?
I think I've said this to a few people. It has a real close feel to it. People are very friendly. It's a very professional club. Has a feel of Man United. It does have that feel. So there's something good going on. The quality of the coaching that I've seen with Matt, Wayne, Dan, Scotty, and below is high end. And as I've said to Dan, I said, you're going to go to Aston Villa. It's going to be a great club. But you'll take some real good things from Exeter that they'll be able to learn from. So, so really impressed, and it's exciting, and hopefully it can continue and I can add my bit to it and be there to support the players and the staff and hopefully raise Exeter higher up the table.
Last one from me then. How do you feel your coaching style and techniques will complement Matt? Do you think you share similar ethos, or do you think we'll bring something completely different? No.
I think I share a lot of it. I see little things more on possibly on the offensive style at the upper end of Championship and Premier League, and that creativity. And we've got very, very creative players. Obviously, there's a style of play in League One and League Two, and it's maybe unhinging the reins a little bit, because we've got some really creative offensive players, and it's maybe letting the reins off them so they can go and explore, but within that defensive structure, because at present we've got there, I think we're the second best goals against behind Ipswich, and defence is the key to a successful campaign. So everything has to come from a solid defensive formation and platform to build offensively. So I thought the game against MK Dons, we showed some real good attacking play, but with a solid defensive performance. So very similar. It's just little bits. It's just I can suggest these things from a different set of eyes, because the guys have been here 4 or 5 years. Maybe just a different set of eyes can provoke some thoughts. That's all I'm there to do. Provoke thoughts, support Matt, support Wayne, support the academy staff and the players.